morning, everyone. Deborah Olshan Cooper here with another fascinating series on the passionate professional. Now, I know who you see below here or on the screen is not your typical passionate professional that I have brought on, but this young 19-year-old blew me away at, I'm not even going to say the name of it, but it's a platform that allows people to tell their story. And working with so many young professionals, I found her story so passionate and so unique that I wanted to bring her on today. Her name is Megan Di Russo. As I mentioned, she's 19 years old. She just graduated from the Miami Dade Honors College. She is now applying to as a transfer student to several universities, and we'll talk about that because already she's gotten some yeses, which is just amazing, as we know in this day and age, waiting for decision release to begin her new transition period as an undergraduate, where she obtained her AA degree in psychology, but now she's going to be working towards her BA and master's and psych and all of that in policy. With her education experience, she hopes to one day to insensitize prisons and create programs that encourage rehabilitation and reintegration. Let me integrate you guys to Megan today. How are you doing, Megan?
Great. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
Well, I have to tell you, as I said, working with so many young people who are just trying to find their way, trying to find their passion, how they put their passion to their power. First, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everyone. What were you doing in your room, 8, 10 years old, you pick it, whatever age you want to be, when you just got lost in your passion, lost in the time, lost in your flow, your happiness, your joy, till your mom called you for dinner? What was Megan doing?
Honestly, when I was 8, 10, I have no idea. I think maybe trying to think back, wasn't that long ago, but for me, I think maybe just I loved playing with dolls, but I always loved making scenarios where they had to help each other. And I think it was always so fun. And she would always pull me out of it. But for me, someone was always getting hurt and someone was always helping someone else, whether it was a pony or a Barbie or whatever it was I had on hand. That was ironically enough something that I love to play with.
And if you ever I just love that question, because exactly what you're saying, someone was helping someone, and that is what you're doing now. So tell us a little bit how it all came to be and what you're doing with the prison system, etc. So that's very interesting as a young child. When you're playing with Barbies, when most Barbies are being set up with Ken, you're like helping them to do something wonderful in the world, which is what you're doing now. So tell us about your passion and how that came to be.
So it did take a while. I was really confused at first, and I always thought that I wanted to be a forensic psychologist, and that's what I had in my mind. That was the career when I searched up on Google, psychology and criminal justice. That's what came up, and I was like, that's what I need to do. That's what's going to get me to where I want to be. That's what I'm passionate about. But then I went to Miami Dade College and I took a course with a professor, Carlos Gonzalez, and he introduced me to a letter exchange with an incarcerated woman from Homestead Correctional. So I did this letter exchange and I realized that I wanted to be a forensic psychologist, and you work with incarcerated people, you work with people that are being sentenced. And I had never thought about the human being on the other side of my career. So this caught me so off guard that I hadn't actually realized what it was that I was passionate about. I just thought about the job and the career and what I thought I needed to do, but it didn't really connect with me. And that always did feel kind of off. I kind of felt detached from my own career, like my own passion in a way. And meeting her name was Alexandra, that was her pseudonym, in the letter exchange, I realized that what I'd be working for is a whole system that holds so many people. And what I wanted to do was help people. But there were so many ways that I could go about it, not just what I found on Google or on Safari. So I started connecting with her, and I realized that the system needed it needs a lot of change. It needs a lot of reform and a lot of more programs to incentivize and rehabilitate these individuals. So I started shifting away from forensic psychology and I started going more towards policy and towards something that I didn't think I was capable of before. I had kind of put myself in a little box and said, this is what I'm comfortable with. And I would never want to work in politics or in the government or anything having to do with having to be a voice or having to be a leader in a community. And stepping away from that, I found something that actually took me more out of my comfort zone and made me want to do more.
Oh, I love that. You know what's coming up for me? So, what was it in your letter exchange with Alexandra, pseudonym? What did she say to you? What did you, where you had that like, oh, I didn't know that resonated with you enough to change your whole thinking about your career?
For me, it's pretty simple, but I feel like I never really understood the fact that these are human beings. Like I was so detached from that. And I didn't know enough about the prison system. So to me, it was all full of just stereotypes and all these biases about what an incarcerated person is without even knowing who they are, or their story, or what they represent. So just because they're in the system, we already have these labels. And when I was talking to her, she even said it. She was like, I'm a human being. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend. And that resonated with me because so are we. Like, that's what we are. And whatever got her in there, that was one part of her life. That does not represent the entirety of her, however many years of life. And so when I connected with that, I realized that just being a part of the sentencing portion of it wasn't what my passion was drawing me to. It was drawing me to the people, like meeting them, talking to them, understanding the human experience, the human mind, why they were in there and how they can better reform their lives when they get out, not just hiding them away from the world until release.
Oh, it's so well said, because you know what? It's like the saying, there by the grace of God go I, right? So these people are just like us. We all make mistakes, and some unfortunately get incarcerated from it, and some just live with shame and blame or whatever. But collectively, it is important to eradicate that, because we are so many things. We're shadow and light. And so I love that. So besides this woman, during your time at Miami Dade, were you going into, like, what became your thing? Was it like a internship, or how did you get more involved?
So I started interning at Exchange for Change. It's a nonprofit that works to educate incarcerated individuals. So they provide courses to the group that is able to join the nonprofit on the inside. So they'll have like trauma toolbox, writing courses, speech courses, playwriting courses. So these individuals can actually gain college credits and get their GEDs. This isn't something that a lot of prisons have. This is actually very unique. And they do require a whole organization to go into these prisons and have professors teaching in there to give these certificates. So on Monday, actually, we have our graduation from Everglades. So a lot of our students are getting different diplomas and different types of certificates for classes that they took. So going in there, I was actually able to meet a lot of the individuals. I met so many special people that you would be caught off guard. Like, you think, wow, you're going into prison. And even my mom, for example, she understands this because I'm an only child and I'm her daughter. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to Everglades, the all men's prison this week to go see them graduate. And it does catch you off guard. But when you go in there, it's a lot more than just their blue uniforms or the number on their IDs. They tell you their stories. They cry about their children, that they miss their families. I even met an old, like a man, he was like 78 years old and he's been in there since he was like in his 20s. And he was telling me about his daughter and his wife and his family and what he misses and what he would wish he could do. He even said, he said that if I asked him, what would you do if you went back? Like, when, if you were, he has a life sentence, but if you were able to go back into society,
Oh,
what's the first thing you would do? He's like, I would go to Burger King and I would sit there and I'd look outside. And the incredible thing is that going in, I also realized that when we think of prison in the saddest ways, we correlate it to murder and rape and all these horrible crimes, but a lot of it's also addiction. And life sentences are based off addiction. And a lot of these human beings are in there. And they know that when they get out, or if they're able to come out, that addiction, it consumed their life. But now they're in a reformed place, but they might not get the chance to actually live that out on the outside.
Oh my God. This is, I don't know, for me, it's just like really is incredible, incredible. So let me ask you a question now applying, let's talk about, because so many people was interested, if they want to go for their master's, how they set themselves apart. It's so competitive out there. Do you feel like this obviously gave you an edge? Like now when you write the essay, you really, I'm sure it was like different than when you were in high school going like, I'm like, right? Everybody writes their essay. They don't know who they are, but knowing now a little bit more who you are, what was the essay that got you accepted to, I think you told me University of Michigan and where else?
University of Chapel Hill, University of Virginia, and I got waitlisted yesterday to Yale University.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Oh my God, congratulations. So what was your essay about? Like, what did you write about? What did you say to these admissions people?
So I think that it definitely did give me a huge push. Incredible, because out of high school, I went to Miami Dade College because I knew it was a 2-year program to transfer, and that I knew that there was definitely going to be some growth there. And in high school, obviously, it's a completely different world. You feel a lot more confused about what you want to do, who you are, where you want to take your life. And so, two completely different essays. And with this one, I feel like something that makes any applicant competitive is just being passionate. I think about anything, just it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're passionate about it and as long as you know why you're doing it and you're doing it for the right reasons, admissions, that's what they hear it and they feel it. So through my essay, obviously a lot of them were about what I want to do. I feel like that was a huge point for me, that whatever school I applied to, they know that I'm applying because they have prison projects, they have projects for rehabilitation and reintegration, and that they are also at the forefront of all these social issues and social justice. So that for me became a really big point in the why UMich, why UNC essays, or just overall when they ask, why are you passionate about? What do you want to do? Or why do you want to do it? For me, I had my biggest essay was about making the voiceless feel heard, or about making sure that even though they're locked away or that they're hidden from us, we still have representatives for them here in the real world, and that they're represented in policy and in law and in whatever changes are happening. We're not just excluding this marginalized community from the decisions that we're making. Because I feel like even in high school, at some point in all of our lives, we feel like we don't know how to stand up for ourselves. We don't know how to be heard or how to make our voices loud. So imagine being in a system that actually makes sure that you're reminded of that loss every day. So the system, a lot of us feel that way in real life. We don't have to be trapped in a system to feel voiceless. So for me, that was a big point in a lot of my essays.
Oh my God. You really did nail it on the head. It's so true. The juxtaposition, yet it's really just one. Like we're just a collective, whether you're in prison, whether so many people's lives, you can feel imprisoned in
Mhm.
family situations and not be in prison. So I love how you pulled that together. That's incredible. So these schools, and then you looked at the specific schools that matched your passion so that you
Yeah.
could speak to it.
Yes.
And that's the way to do it, by the way, because they want to know that they're seen by individuals like you. I love that. What was your experience like at Miami Dade? And that was very smart of you to choose a 2-year college where you could grow and learn. What would have happened if that teacher, by the way, like you never met him? And that's kind of a universal thing. Where do you think your life would be now?
I honestly have no idea what I would have done without that class. It was his first year teaching for the Honors College, so I got very lucky to be placed in his class because there were like 3 more English professors, but I got him surprisingly enough. And honestly, I have no idea. Definitely a completely different route. I would not have had the same essays, the same competitiveness to my application without him. I feel like since I felt at a loss with forensic psychology, I felt like I couldn't connect with it. I feel like my essays would have definitely voiced that for me. And I feel like admissions officers would hear that I was kind of detached from my career. So being able to have him and have him kind of take that step too, because I was very brave of him to make a whole course about freedom and make the students in that class exchange a letter with an incarcerated woman. So not only from my behalf, but from his behalf, I know he changed a lot of lives through that. He started a whole new organization at Miami Dade based off that with students that are passionate about it. And I'm not included since I'm graduating. So that's a whole other generation that is, or legacy that is taking on that passion. But Miami Dade has done a lot for me. I feel like in high school, I was very shy, very, very reserved, did not want to step out of the box, wanted to just feel comfortable in where I was at. But going into Dade, it was a very small cohort for me. So I was a lot more comfortable being able to kind of get to know people and be like, you know what, maybe I'll try this. So a big thing was definitely I became student government president during the last year. And that helps me even being here. I would not have done this 2 years ago. I would have said like, oh, you know what, like I have a better option. Like I have a friend that knows how to do this. But now just taking that step, going out of my comfort zone. I mean, that's how I found. So I want to keep continuing that.
Oh, I love this. Tell me, what could you share with others, Megan, who have felt like you, who may be going through that? What would you suggest to people, or what message can you give to people about finding their passion? Because everybody deserves a chance to find their passion in life. Is there any words of wisdom that you can share?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't have listened to myself, but I wish I had. If I could tell someone or give someone advice on how to find their passion, I think it's don't label what you just like what you like, and then find a way to make it your own. Like, don't label it. I thought I liked criminal justice and psych, so I Googled it and I found a label for it. But that's not what I want. Even now, I don't have a label for my career. I know what I want to do, and however I get there is how I get there, and that's perfectly fine with me. But if I want to do psychology and policy, I'm going to study, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone, I'm going to get internships, I'm going to explore different areas, and wherever I land, and if I'm happy there, that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to end up doing. But in order to do that, you have to know that you can't go in with one narrow street thinking, this is the career for me, this is what I'm going to do. You have to be able to say, if I like medicine in med school, I'm going to explore all these different types of medicine. And that's where maybe I can find out where I'm going to start going towards. I feel like that applies to everything. Just don't narrow yourself down to what society tells you you have to do or you have to be, or these are the steps. I mean, even at these huge universities like Ivy Leagues or even at the top 25s, we see that they have all these programs for students that take years off of school. There's no traditional way to complete your passion or to get to your passion. It's just however you decide to make the best out of it.
Oh my God. I just got a feeling Yale better be taking you off the wait list after this, because unbelievable. And Megan, people who are going to be watching this, maybe they want to reach out to you and get more advice on how you did that, because it's really what I teach. And you're really the exemplifying of that, and having that mindset. And I'm just so happy for you. How could they reach you?
Through anything, I have Instagram and I have LinkedIn. If you want, would you like for me to say it
Yeah.
or?
Yes.
So my Instagram is Megan Di Russo, MEGANDIRUSSO. And it's also my LinkedIn profile, but also through email. So my email is mmdirusso, DIRUSSO @gmail.com.
Megan, all the success in the world. No one deserves it more than you. And thank you so much for being such a beacon of light for so many Gen Zers out there, where they can follow their passion and their dream. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.